For some while, we were exploring the sublime paradox of having arrived and perpetually becoming, or we could say, being fully present and aware, and yet also totally participating in the adventures and experiences that are the movement of life. But the question that arises after this exploration is, what are the qualities that are present and come unbidden to give us confirmation that this paradox has been reconciled? And there's an old story that allows a question to be asked, but is an answer to what is arising, and it also leads us in to the next link in the chain, or the next level of inquiries that are there to be made for us. And this is the story about that great Hindu pandit, Narada. Now, Narada was a very famous saintly scholar, known for his ability to debate. But he was also a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Now we know that it is said that all of existence plays itself out in the body of Vishnu. So Narada was a great devotee of this Lord. In other words, one could say a devotee of existence. But one day when Narada was on pilgrimage, he happened to stop in a town where he got talking to a certain merchant, and they had a very pleasant conversation. And after the conversation, the merchant invited Narada back to his house to participate in the hospitality of his family, who was his wife, as it so happened. So when Narada went back to the merchant's house, he enjoyed a delicious meal cooked by the merchant's wife. But after eating the meal, he said to Narada, "It's very strange. After eating such a delicious meal, I usually feel very joyful and happy, but I'm feeling very sad. What is it with your wife?" And the merchant said, "Oh, you certainly are a very perceptive saint. My wife and I are very sad because we've never been blessed with a child." "Oh," said Narada, "can you bring me your horoscopes?" And the merchant went off and brought back horoscopes that had been cast by very knowledgeable astrologers. And then he looked at their palms. And then he shook his head. He said, "No, no, 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 it is not in your fate in this lifetime to have children." And then he left, and Narada was very sad. So he immediately went to the abode of Lord Krishna, and he told of this experience that he'd had with this merchant, who were both very, very, very devoted people to their faith and followed the Dharma, and asked, was it possible to change their fate? And Lord Vishnu replied, "Narada, you know that the laws of karma are inviolable. It is not in their destiny to have children." So Narada went off, and he was very sad, very sad. And some years passed, and he happened to be passing by this town once again, and again he met up with the merchant, and the merchant again invited him back to his house. And when they went back to the house, there were 3 children playing in the yard. And Narada said, "Whose children are these?" And the merchant said, "Why, they're mine." And Narada was very greatly surprised. But he went in and had a very, very delicious meal with the now extended family of merchant wife and 3 children. And then when he left their house, he immediately again went to the abode of Vishnu. But to go back to the story of the merchant, Narada said, well, what happened? And the merchant said, well, after you left, an old hermit, an old beggar came into town, and he said, give an old hungry man 1 loaf of bread for 1 child, 2 loaves of bread for 2, and 3 loaves of bread for 3. So, even though we knew what our destiny was, there was no harm in giving alms to this old man, and so we invited him back to our house for a meal, and he ate 3 loaves of bread. And then we had our 3 children. So, of course, Narada went back to Lord Vishnu and he said, well, how can this be? How could it possibly be? And Lord Vishnu said, this old man was a saintly Bhakta. And when a Bhakta speaks, I am duty bound to obey. Well, Narada said, I don't understand. I don't understand. And Lord Vishnu said, well, your mind is too busy at the moment. Let's go for a little walk into town until your mind settles down, and then I'll explain to you. So Narada and Lord Vishnu went off into town, and it was about the time when all the people were going to, the bells were ringing and the incense was being swayed, because it was time for people to go to the temple for prayer. So they walked in the town, and then all of a sudden Lord Vishnu grabbed his side. He bent over. I'm in great pain. One of my devotees has given me some rancid food and my liver has been ruined. I need a liver immediately. And Narada went running off to the temple. And he said, is anyone willing to give Lord Vishnu their liver? He's in great pain, he needs a liver. And they all laughed at him, and then Narada said, well, don't you know who I am? I'm the great, and they just laughed at him and sent him away. Well, he ran down the street, and then he came to the river where there were people washing their clothes and bathing in the river, and he was shouting, please, is there anyone who will help Lord Narada? Lord Vishnu, he needs a liver immediately. And they said, no, but maybe this mad old man will. And Narada looked, and there was an old man standing on one leg in the river, deep, saying his mantras. And Narada went over to the old man and he said, oh, Vishnu, Lord Vishnu needs a liver immediately. Will you help? And without saying a word, the old man lowered his leg into the river and beckoned Narada to follow him. And they went into a very, very simple hut that was on the side of the river. And as they entered, the old man sat down in lotus position. He took a knife, and after a few moments of prayer, he stabbed the knife into his side, drew it across, with the blood flowing down his legs, drew out his liver, and gave it to Narada. Here, take this to Lord Vishnu. And Narada left the old man sitting in lotus position, deep in meditation as the blood flowed down his legs. Narada went back to Lord Vishnu, who seemed to be completely healed and was himself sitting in lotus position, looking quite whole and well. And he said, here is the liver for you. Lord Vishnu looked up at Narada and said, but you have a liver. Why did you not think to give me yours? Oh, mumbled Narada, I didn't think. And Lord Vishnu said, yes, you are indeed a great devotee of mind, but you are still worldly and attached to your body and the things of the world. The old man who gave his liver is the same saintly Bhakta who was passing through the town and brought the blessing of 3 children to the merchant. When a Bhakta speaks, I am duty bound to obey. So, in answering this question, what are these qualities that arrive unbidden for us when this sublime paradox has been reconciled in our being? The stillness of being wholly present and full participation in the experiences and movement of life. How would you translate Bhakta?
But it seems to me that the law of karma is only effective for as long as there's attachment to the mechanics of karma, to cause and effect.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so.
Selflessness.
Selflessness, yes. Selflessness.
Without dedication and sacrifice.
Yes.
He had to do what the Bhakta said because actually there was no division between them.
That's right. Because in the end of this story is Vishnu's face becoming the face of the old hermit. So we recognize this. It gives us confirmation of having reconciled this paradox, living every moment present, still, aware, alert, and yet wholly and totally participating in the experiences of life. What is it that could be the next phase of our inquiries? Where do we move from here? Having no longer being a seeker, being no longer a seeker. What comes after this?
That's an easy question. We just cut out our liver.
every moment,
Yes.
every single moment.